We are anonymous. No faces, no flags, no permission slips. We don't speak for a party or a network. We speak for the moment the official story starts cracking, when power expects silence and instead gets witnesses. And right now, something is going mega viral for a reason. This is going mega viral right now. ICE is going through some things, y'all. Minnesota has made people wake up in a big way, and now folks are pushing back, and ICE is going viral for the wrong reasons. These people are not good at their jobs. They're not. We already knew that after the tragedy this past week, but what you're watching now is bigger than one incident. It's intimidation colliding with cameras. It's federal swagger colliding with mothers who are done being scared. It's the mask slipping, sometimes literally. And Donald Trump hates when the mask slips. He hates witnesses. He hates sunlight. He hates anything that creates a timeline he can't rewrite. Under Trump, accountability is treated like sabotage, and transparency is treated like a threat. So when people start filming, following, questioning, and refusing to be intimidated, it doesn't just embarrass the agency. It breaks the whole political machine that feeds off fear. A right-wing nut, Matt Van Swall, looked at this Minnesota mom and sneered, calling her zero fear, zero self-preservation instincts, zero prediction of future consequences. And honestly, I don't know what we did as a society to generate that archetype of person, the one who sees courage and calls it stupidity, the one who sees a mother stand up to federal intimidation and thinks the problem is her backbone, not the agency that just killed someone. Because here's what the mom was doing. She was trailing ICE in Minnesota after someone had been murdered by an ICE agent. That context is everything. Just days after a Minneapolis mom was killed, people didn't retreat into silence. More people started showing up. More people started watching. More people started following the feds. Not because they're looking for chaos, but because they've learned the only thing that protects the public sometimes is being seen and being recorded. And that is exactly what Trump's enforcement culture can't stand. Watch the exchange. The agent doesn't talk like a public servant. He talks like a man used to scaring people. If I continually see you following us, interfering with us, honking your horn, blocking our cars, you have a very high probability of making a really bad decision and being arrested today, leaving the right decision. That's not de-escalation. That's a threat dressed up as advice. That's the sound of power trying to reassert control over a citizen whose only crime is refusing to look away. Then someone asks the obvious question. Oh, then why are you giving her a warning? And he says it like he's doing her a favor. I'm giving her a warning to not interfere with what we're doing. To not make a bad decision today and ruin your life. To not make a bad decision today and ruin your life. That's the core of the intimidation model. Comply or we'll ruin you. Under Trump, that model expands. It leaks into everything. It becomes the default posture of institutions that stop seeing the public as the boss and start seeing the public as the enemy. And then the mom says what millions of Americans have wanted to say straight to the face of that culture. Okay, take out the mask, you coward. That line went viral because it cuts through the costume. The mask is the symbol. The mask says you don't get to look me in the eye as an equal. The mask says you don't get my name, my accountability, my humanity. The mask says I can do this to you and disappear into the system. And she rejects that. The agent tries to exit. Okay, alrighty, thank you. Have a good day. She answers like a human being living inside a country where a mother can die and the government still wants you to be polite. I hope you have a terrible day. Okay, thank you. Watch out. There's a lot of ice around here. That last line is Minnesota humor with teeth. And it's viral because it isn't scripted. It isn't a campaign. It's real people refusing to be psychologically conquered. Then the clip hits another detail that matters. Minneapolis Border Patrol agents warned two white women in separate SUVs to stop trailing them and not to impede. People react to that because it shows how wide this backlash is spreading. This isn't confined to one group. This isn't just one neighborhood. This is a public that watched a killing and thought, if they can do that there, they can do that anywhere. So now the feds are being followed. Someone said it's actually incredibly based that a couple days after a Minneapolis mom got her head blown off by the feds, there are more moms all over Minneapolis trailing feds. That's what breaks the fear script. The fear script depends on isolation. It depends on people thinking they're alone. Minnesota is proving the opposite. And while the viral clips spread, the bigger political backdrop is getting hotter. There are reports of protests erupting, of federal officials defending the agent's actions as self-defense, and of Minnesota leaders pushing back, describing a surge of federal enforcement as disruptive and potentially unlawful. Instead of transparency calming the situation, you get more force, more deployment, more escalation. That is Trump's instinct every single time. When the public is horrified, Double down. When the public asks questions, punish the questioners. When the narrative collapses, flood the zone with intimidation and call it order. Now the viral montage gets more surreal. Another form of protest. Y'all, they're throwing baloney at ICE. They're throwing baloney at ICE. Look at him. Look at him he's getting his phone out. I'm taking a picture. How dare you throw baloney at my car? Then the Minnesota fury hits like a slap. May I help any of you get the on? Welcome to Minnesota. Get the on. Welcome to Minnesota. People laugh, but the deeper point is serious. This isn't armed conflict. This is public rejection. It's heckling, shaming, refusing to treat federal intimidation as sacred. The narrator even says, I don't condone throwing baloney at anyone. The point isn't to cheer harm. The point is that the public is no longer playing the role Trump assigned them. Quiet, scared, obedient. Then there's another clip. Rough language, but it reveals a raw truth. People are demanding accountability face to face. Why can't you take off your mask off your face, though? Why are you making eye contact with me and have your mask on? How much is your bonus? Like 30, 50,000, something like that. I'm telling you, this is what broke people do for money, bro. Take your mask off. What's my name? You're going to ask me that with a mask on your face. What's your name? I'm an American. This is what an American looks like right here. Again, the narrator doesn't condone the language, but condones the sentiment. And the sentiment is simple. Stop hiding. Stop acting like you're at war with the public. Stop taking orders from a political machine that treats human beings like props in a crackdown. Then we get to the McDonald's moment. ICE tries showing up to McDonald's. Protesters and staff push back. Well, you get up out of here, man. This private property, though. Yes, it is. This private property, bro. It keeps going. They lock the door and call the owner. Eventually, ICE is told to leave. Whoever that security officer is, he needs a raise. Because this is what lawful pushback looks like. Not violence, boundaries. Policies, leverage, community. The power of no, you can't come in here. And if you're Donald Trump, that is terrifying, because it proves people don't need his permission to resist. They can resist with procedure, with property rules, with witnesses, with public pressure. Now the montage turns into something that looks comedic, but it's also deeply alarming incompetence with guns. The narrator jokes about ICE-on-ICE violence, because ICE wasn't expecting ICE, meaning ICE agents slipping and failing on their own. One clip shows an agent slipping hard, fully airborne. People replay it like a meme. Then the narrator says it's not the only one. Earlier in the week, another slip happened and a gun went off. He slips and then gun goes off. So dangerous. So dangerous. That's not funny. That's a firearm discharging during enforcement activity. That's how bystanders get killed. That's how chaos becomes tragedy in 1 second. And if we were a serious country, that would trigger immediate, aggressive oversight training protocols. Discipline, transparency. But under Trump, oversight is treated as disloyalty. And that's why people keep saying, these people should not be having these jobs. Because if you're going to send armed agents into neighborhoods, you do not get to be reckless. You do not get to play soldier in public spaces. You do not get to hide behind politics after someone dies. Then there's another clip, a person caught by ICE, surrounded by a dozen officers, and he just runs away. Literally surrounded, and he runs. The narrator repeats the theme. They're not good at their job. They're not. And then the original text includes a remark about universal handcuff keys and what people can do. I'm not going to echo that as advice or instructions, because telling people how to defeat restraints or interfere with law enforcement crosses into facilitating wrongdoing. But here's the real point. When a society loses trust in enforcement, reckless tips spread online. That's a symptom of legitimacy collapsing. Trump creates the conditions for that collapse, then points at the chaos like it proves he needs more power. Finally, the montage ends with something humiliating, not violent. A guy spots a MAGA hat. I like your MAGA hat. Yeah, Trump. It says gay. Oh, I know. Just checking. No. It says make America gay again. Great again. Gay. That moment matters because Trumpism runs on symbols and slogans and tribal identity. When those symbols get flipped, when the slogan becomes a joke, it exposes how hollow the performance is. It was never about greatness. It was about dominance. And when dominance gets laughed at, it panics. Now here's the bottom line. I hope this was energizing. I hope this was hope-inspiring, because it shows there are ways to push back that are non-violent, but still powerful. And yes, humiliating for the people who depend on fear. And we need to understand what's happening in Minnesota beyond the memes. A mother is dead. Protests erupted. Officials are clashing over narrative and authority. There are reports of more federal officers being deployed. That is the cycle Trump thrives on. Tragedy, escalation, propaganda, repeat. So don't give him what he wants. Don't give him silence. Don't give him fear. Give him witnesses. Give him lawful pressure. Give him relentless public attention. Record in public where it's legal. Know your rights. Support local journalism. Support legal aid. Support the families harmed by the system. Demand transparency instead of secrecy. Demand accountability instead of slogans. Because if this is going mega viral right now, it's because the spell is breaking. We are anonymous. And if you felt something watching those clips, anger, hope, disbelief, don't let it evaporate into scrolling. Share this. Talk about it. Stay safe. Stay lawful. Stay loud. And keep your eyes on power when it begs you to look away.